we talked a little bit about Joe Rogan's fading relevance the other day, how his latest podcast, like, barely even ever crack 1 million views. Like sometimes they do. Like I think he had fucking Matthew McConaughey on and it had like 5 million views. But like your average Joe Rogan podcast, unless he's hosting some literal celebrity, it gets under 1 million views. Asmongold, on the other hand, puts out the most low effort fucking garbage slop dog shit content. And it's cleaning up. It's cleaning up. Not that every single one of his videos clears 1 million views, but they're all getting damn close. And he'll do a mix of like, video game content, but also political stuff. Here's him talking about Cenk Uygur, and his shit is getting at least as many views as Joe Rogan, if not more at this point, and for much shorter, much more low effort kind of video content. So I think it's fair to say that Asmongold sees a weakness in Joe Rogan, like a predator hunting his prey. The antelope is wounded, the gazelle is bleeding. There's blood in the water, and the shark is fucking hungry. And Asmongold sees a lane. He sees that the king of right wing online media is faltering. He's weak. And he sees an opportunity here to take him out, take his place, potentially. A bit of a turf war, in my opinion, about to pop off potentially, because in this reaction to the recent Joe Rogan Duncan Trussell, came out pretty strongly, pretty harshly against the message from Joe Rogan, a message of innocuous humanity, just like maybe we shouldn't deport innocent people that have been here for 20 years, just the most basic fucking shit. But as you're going to see, Asmongold is not having it. And neither is Joe Rogan's comments, as we showed you guys yesterday in the other video, which you can check out that we published last night.
Asmongold is kind of like a perfect foil to Joe Rogan, in the sense, if you remove their politics, because they both have at a bedrock right-wing politics, Asmongold proving to be even more far right-wing than Joe Rogan, but he's kind of his polar opposite in every sense, right? He's the like, I live in filth, I don't take my body care or hygiene seriously, I do not work out, I'm not in the grind set mindset. He is really the antithesis of Joe Rogan. He's not interested in seizing the day. He's not interested in learning all these skills. He's like, no, I want to stay at home and play video games and do the kind of thing that Joe Rogan would describe as making you a loser, right? And I wonder if Joe Rogan's audience got tired of being lectured to by a rich guy who had the opportunity to hire a bunch of personal trainers, who had the opportunity to hire a bunch of the world's best tutors and trainers to teach him how to do cool shit, and then constantly finger wagged at everyone, was talking about shit. I remember one time we trolled Rogan back in the day because he did this whole thing about how people need to learn to suffer more. And it's like, what are you talking about? Sitting in your sauna at 120 degrees? Go fuck yourself, dude. Are you kidding me? That's not suffering. Suffering is what working poor people do every single day, struggling to get by. That's suffering, right? But he's like, I need to manufacture more suffering. I think we all need to suffer more. It was totally tone deaf. It was out of touch. Asmongold is a guy that a lot of these losers can see themselves in.
That's a great point, Zach. That's a beautiful point. Because you're totally right. The sort of lifestyle that Asmongold lives is the sort of lifestyle that Joe Rogan warns about. If there were to be like a universal basic income, he'll be like, everyone will just be in their mom's fucking basement, like jerking off and like drinking Mountain Dew and shit. It's like, that is basically what Asmongold does. Obviously, he's cleaned up his image a little bit. Like, you don't literally see cockroaches crawling across his fucking forehead anymore. But, he does come off kind of like the Nick Fuentes thing, where he's like, yeah, I am just a fucking, dude in my basement. I'm one of you. Like, that is more the vibe, and he doesn't really lecture people as much. That being said, watching a little bit of Asmongold's content will very quickly make you miss Joe Rogan. And you'll be like, oh, fuck, Joe Rogan seems like a, enlightened moderate compared to this absolutely unhinged, just dog shit, low effort, kind of Nazi, adjacent commentary from Asmongold. Do you want to take a look at just like 5 or so minutes of him reacting to, again, what was a pretty innocuous, basic message from Rogan regarding the ICE stuff?
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Let's just talk about the immigration thing. The way it looks is horrific. When you're just arresting people in front of their kids and just normal, regular people that have been here for 20 years, that everybody who has a heart can't get along with that.
I guess I don't have a heart. I'm totally okay with it. I think they should do it more. Just because you
I
have
think
your
they should
kids
do
with
it
you
more.
doesn't mean-
I took me a second to register that. He was like, I guess I don't have a heart then. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Congratulations. You figured that out all on your own. But then he doubles down and he says, I think we should see more of it. You are a sadist, sir. You are a fucking crazy person, and you are I don't even know how you could possibly say something like that. I genuinely, maybe just for shock value, but it's hard for me to imagine somebody actually believing this. I know he probably deep down in his heart of hearts does, but it's so shocking. You feel so sick at your stomach that somebody would actually say, I want to see more family separation. I want to see more people have their lives ruined. They didn't fucking do anything. Dude, you go to another country, you're an illegal alien over there. Sorry, like, oh my gosh, dude, like, you know what I mean? It could be you. It could be anybody. You're just a fucking human being that's trying to make ends meet somewhere on a patch of dirt, and you want to see their whole life ruined for no reason. They did literally nothing to you.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's clear that he doesn't actually think deeply about these issues. It's clear that he doesn't actually have any, like, he's not actually in touch with the humanity of these people that he's referencing. It's kind of like back in the Bush era when people would just casually say, like, oh, just fucking nuke the entire Middle East, you know, just fuck it. Like, they can't stop fighting, just kill them all. And it's like, obviously it's not serious commentary. It's not like a real well thought out analysis at all. It's just fucking racism. And that's exactly what we've returned to as a society, which is what I warned about incessantly. I was like, you know, we're basically just signing up for a return to the Bush era. And it's never felt more like that when you hear shit like that coming out of the mouth of some piece of shit like Asmongold. But let's keep going.
You're immune to consequences. Yeah. It's emotional manipulation.
How? Everybody who has a heart sees that and goes, that can't be right. Like,
and again, to reiterate too, like, the part of the reason why Asmongold is triggered, not just because he senses the weakness and he smells the blood and he wants to take Joe's spot, but it's also Joe is low-key lashing out at MAGA in this clip. He's saying that if you support this, you're fucking heartless. And a lot of MAGA people that have been watching Joe Rogan because of his pro-Trump stance, they probably did take that personally. They're probably like, wait, what? Like, I thought we were all supporting this. I thought this is what you were endorsing when you helped get Trump elected. And now they're like, wait, what? Kind of like us. We're like, what the fuck? You didn't know what you were supporting? Like, you were that dumb? Well, Trump supporters also realize that. They also say, wait, what the fuck? You weren't on the same page as us when you were campaigning for the mass deportations guy to become elected president. And now, yeah, they do take it personally when Joe's like, what? I'm not against this. You have to be a heartless son of a bitch. You have to be an evil bastard to be with this. And they're like, wait, what? I thought you were with us. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, this is a clumsy analogy to use because most of the time people use it for struggling with addiction. Like, you do a little bit and then you've swum too far out to sea and then you realize you're an addict. But I think it works really well in media. And we see it with different groups of people, right? It's not just Joe Rogan. We could also say Ethan Klein did this, right? You could see a bunch of other people throughout the history of media doing this as well. But what happened with Joe Rogan was he did the Spotify deal, and then he started getting a lot of mainstream press in a way that he'd never gotten mainstream press before. He was still underground. He was popular, tremendously popular. He had an amazing following, but he still had some level of being underground because he wasn't corporate. The mainstream media hadn't picked up on just how popular he was. Then he takes this $100 million plus Spotify deal and he explodes into being a household name for people who had never, ever come across the Joe Rogan experience. And now it's like, oh my God, the Fear Factor guy is like the #1 podcaster. That's crazy. People started to keep a close eye on him and he became the kind of guy that you would write articles about if he said something, right? And he got disillusioned by that. He got all petty and he, decided to move from Los Angeles to Austin where he could insulate himself and he could surround himself with yes men and people would just constantly kiss his ass because he didn't want to face the consequences of his action. And what did he do? He just kept moving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the right-wing media ecosphere, right? The right-wing media ecosphere. I don't know why I said that funny, but he did. He moved so far away from the normal people that watched him, even the casually left-leaning people that watched him. And then at some point, like with the Duncan Trussell episode we just saw, when he wants to push back a little bit, he realizes, oh my gosh, I can't even touch the sea anymore. I'm out with the tide. And all of my comment section is now bashing me, not for supporting Trump in the first place, but for daring to criticize him. And you realize you've completely lost your way.
Yep, 100%. And his audience isn't even defending him. They're not defending him from these attacks. They're echoing the kind of language that Asmongold is currently espousing. Let's keep going.
Can't be right. That can't be the only way to do this.
All right.
Because
the other way to do it would be to have closed the borders ahead of time, and that way it would have never been an issue. Anytime that somebody gets apprehended by the police for committing a crime or doing something wrong, they're separated from their family or from their kids. If they're with their kids, it's not like this is some kind of get out of jail free card.
Are you fucking kidding?
You still go to jail. It doesn't even make sense. This is like, it's totally illogical in every other application of this rule.
And by the way, even if you want to, even if you want to say, I guess that's pretty sound logic there, that's no excuse for the U.S. government to put innocent children in what are basically concentration camps with like tinfoil fucking blankets, cage fucking fence walls. Like, it's crazy inhumane. They literally essentially are concentration camps. So even if you want to make that argument, like, okay, well, for a brief period of time while the parents are being like processed or something, like the kids have to be separated from them. We're the United States of America. We're the richest fucking country in the world. We're supposed to be able to afford to treat people decently because we're not a third world country. Like, why can't we do it humanely? Why can't we treat human beings, specifically children, again, like they're children and like they're human beings? There's no excuse for it, which is what's really at the meat of the criticism, not this like technicality thing where it's like, oh, well, actually, legal Americans also get separated from their children when they get fucking arrested. Well, their children don't get sent to a fucking concentration camp, do they? But yeah, let's watch a little bit more of this. You kind of get the point, right? It goes on for 26 minutes.
That's
it's
insane.
like, how many times can you reiterate that, like, I'm more of a Nazi than you, Joe Rogan, and how dare you criticize? How dare you have a heart?
You have to think, look, yeah, we have to have a border. Yes, it should have been secure. Yes, they should make sure
True.
you know who everybody is before they get in.
Yeah.
But when people been here for
That
20
Coca-Cola.
years, like, come on,
on.
man. That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I agree. It is crazy. How are you here for 20 years? You break the law for 20 years. You can't figure out how to get a visa. You can't go through the immigration process. You can't do anything. How does that make any sense? How is it that these people can disrespect the laws? And also, a lot of these people are doing identity theft. They're doing other bullshit.
Yeah. So he basically, what you missed is him saying, like, if you've been here for 20 years, like, how have you not legally become an immigrant yet? Like, you've been here for 20 years. Why haven't you, like, done the work to fucking legally, become a fucking immigrant? And it's like, because it's almost impossible. It's almost fucking impossible. That's one thing that I'll admit, is that the immigration system needs to be a lot easier for people. There would be way less, illegal immigrants if it was easier to become a legal immigrant. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that we make it so impossible is a huge part of the reason why, there's people without documentation here. Which is, if something you care about, then make it easier for them to fucking get documentation so they can actually contribute to society and all that kind of stuff.
And to be fair to these people who work hard and do pay taxes, yes, pay taxes for 20 plus years when they live here. Did you know that undocumented immigrants will pay more taxes than Amazon, Meta, Twitter, and like 10 other major tech companies combined? And people will come out here and they'll be like, they're not paying their taxes. Yes, they are. And you know why? The reason, in addition to the other things Gavin listed, that they aren't fucking, becoming American citizens is because of all the laws you support, Asmongold. You want their fucking children terrorized. You want their kid. You don't even have enough of a heart and soul to be like, no child is a fucking criminal, which is like a standard belief, I think, of any normal individual. You're a fucking child. You're 8 years old. Yeah, you're not a criminal. You're welcome here. That's the whole theory of America. We embrace people coming to our country for a better life with open arms. And you're a child and you've done nothing wrong and the whole world is supposed to be open to you. Are you kidding me? You can't even find it in your heart to be like, that guy should definitely have the opportunity to be a citizen. You don't even support that. So that's why when I'm 8 years old, I get brought to America. I don't have any fucking choice in that matter. Now I'm 28 years old. I've lived here for 20 years. I'm trying to fucking work and feed my family. Maybe I have a wife and kids now. And you want to deport me and humiliate me and degrade me in front of the whole fucking world, terrorize me and my family? It's crazy.
They're paying some taxes. They're not paying other taxes. I wonder, stealing Americans' job in a lot of cases. Yes. And
Stealing Americans.
it's just insane. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. It's crazy, man. Thank you. I've been saying this for years. Yeah, exactly. So I think that this argument works, but it works in the opposite direction. How is it that these people have been here for 20 years, but they couldn't figure out how to get any form of citizenship or residence in the country? Like, what do you?
They were just so busy stealing all of our jobs that they didn't have time to apply. Like, as if they don't want that, as if it was easy, they wouldn't have secured legal status. Like, as if it's not like out of their fucking hands. Like, obviously, pretty much everyone here that's here illegally would go through any process they could to make it so they were here legally. Like, if it was easy to do, not even easy, but if it was just obtainable, right? And it's like the fucking, you know, I'm not an expert, but I hear about how backed up the courts are as far as the asylum claims and the, you know, people fleeing violence, and like the wait list is years long and all this stuff. So it's like, what the fuck else are you supposed to do? Like, if you're literally fleeing a situation of violence and you have a family and it's unsafe where you live, mostly probably thanks to this fucking country. It's like,
that's the other big,
literally, what are you supposed to do? Like, Asmongold, I don't think has kids, but assuming he had a family, like, what the fuck are they supposed to do? Just like die? Like, just, I guess, you know, out of respect for the stupid fucking law and this fake border, I'm going to let my family starve and die. Like, that's not honorable. You think that's more honorable than following some stupid bullshit made up fucking law? Like, how is it honorable to let your family fucking suffer, bro? Because I'm pretty sure if you were living like 50 miles south of the border and you were starving and fucking, you know, had no economic future and you didn't want your kids to grow up in a dangerous area, you would probably do the same shit, bro. Like, obviously anyone would.
Yeah, we could even take this apart further, right? Let's just look at the last 55 years. We won't even talk about how much of what is currently the United States used to be Mexico, right? How Texas, New Mexico, like a lot of those folks didn't move, the border did. So let's talk about that for 1 second. But even if we're just going to take the last 55 years, right? Because that was when this became a really hot button issue. Let's take the last 55 years. Do you know why, as Gavin alluded to, so many people are migrating from Central America and Mexico in particular? Because of the war on drugs. Mexico never wanted to get involved in the war on drugs. So setting aside all of our CIA operations in Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, Panama, etc., okay, in Central America, where we've done all kinds of harm. Go ahead and look at the United States relationship with Colombia. I digress even further. Let's talk about Mexico. Let's talk about the war on drugs. Let's talk about the fact that United States policy turned Mexico into a cartel state for many years. They're still grappling with it. It's still a huge problem. Claudia Sheinbaum is addressing it and tackling it head on, but it's still a problem. And the United States always making it worse. Okay, we literally said to the Mexican government, you will follow our laws, you will outlaw all of these drugs, you will participate in the war on drugs with us, or we are going to stop sending you insulin from our country. Thousands upon thousands of your people will die. They will revolt. We will install a new leader in your country, and then we will make that leader agree to our terms to join the war on drugs. How do you like them apples? That was our whole plan. We destroyed the region with our laws, and now we blame the people who are victims of our policy. That is totally removed from the conversation all the time.
Yep, 100%. And as I've said a million times, if you're really concerned about immigrants taking American jobs, then you should be criminalizing the practice of employing said undocumented people for below minimum wage, you know, cost, right? Like, that's the actual crime, is not some desperate person signing up to take whatever fucking job they can get in order to feed themselves and their family. No, it's the employer exploiting that person so they don't have to pay an American worker bare fucking minimum wage, which is already ridiculously low. So either way, let's take a little bit more of this crap in.
What are you doing?
Find a way. If they've been productive members of society for 20 years, no criminal record, they worked the entire time, they paid taxes, find them a pathway to citizenship. Find a way where you can do this.
Nope. Because if you do that, then you provide a reward structure around people breaking the law. If you ever have a system that rewards people for breaking the law, you've created a system that rewards people for breaking the law. Why is it that a person who intentionally disrespects and breaks the law of a country gets to get moved to the front of the immigration the immigration line, and get made a citizen or a resident of the country? How is it fair to everybody else who didn't break the law that the people that did get first chances over them? How is it fair to them?
Oh, he's deeply concerned with the fairness of the treatment of immigrants. Now he's concerned. When it suits him for one moment, now he's deeply concerned about fair and equitable immigration practices.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And obviously it's like, you know, he's not a fucking immigration expert. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's just nitpicking Joe Rogan the one time out of this whole fucking, you know, month or whatever that Joe Rogan has said something decent and humane and reasonable and correct. Asmongold, let me make a 26-minute long video jumping down your throat, nitpicking you, pretending like I'm some fucking, you know, immigration and crime expert. And if we incentivize bad behavior, people are going to keep doing it. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. You're a piece of shit. Joe Rogan's having a totally normal human reaction, or at least he's pretending to a situation that is deeply fucked up, horrifying, unethical, that anyone would recognize as such who's not a deeply sociopathic, sadistic Nazi freak, which is exactly what Asmongold is. I mean, just look at this piece of shit. Look at this disgusting fucking rat. And it's crazy because, again, as much as I hate Joe Rogan, as much as I think he's worthless and hypocritical and a total coward, it is scary to think about, you know, his empire crumbling and the Void getting replaced with Asmongold, the Void getting replaced with Nick Fuentes, people that make Joe Rogan, again, look pretty fucking reasonable, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, he looks kind of like a burn victim with hair. You know what I mean? He looks like he was properly face graft, skin graft. Anyway, yeah, an ugly guy. And it's always the ugliest bastards that think that they're the master race. They're always the most unbecoming fellas that I'm Nick Fuentes, I'm 5'4" and 140, I'm the master race, you know, or this lanky bastard who I think is like 6'5", but he doesn't know how to wash his own ass. So how much of a master race could he be?
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.